Alright, here we go. So it is 4:17 in the morning. I just got done closing the store because our customers love to order last minute and we are short staffed, so we didn't get to do any kind of closing stuff beforehand. And I clocked out at 4 a.m. Just got done filling this thing up. And I'm on the way home. I'm running on 2 hours of sleep because I did a bunch of stuff this morning. And I'm gonna try to get some sleep when I get home before the kiddos wake up, and I gotta, not a burden, but I gotta spend some time with them. So this video is kind of intended for a few select people. I'll tag them in the post. So I am in a 2017 Lincoln Continental. Anybody else that wants to watch this is fine, whatever. I'm not going to really say too much. I just want to say my piece. So I am driving this new car that I have just financed because in recent weeks, I don't know if anybody follows my posts, both of my daily drivers have decided to blow up. And it sucks. It really does. I freaking hate it when stupid crap happens in succession before you have a chance to really do anything to fix the original, deal. And so I was kind of forced into buying a new car because I didn't have enough money for a decent cash car. My in-laws helped out tremendously. And quite unexpectedly, I'll add, with a $2,000 little bump. And we had originally talked about it between us and me and Justina. We said, we're gonna try to find a cheap, economy car, cash car, buy it outright. And so I started looking, before we even knew about this, because I was gonna sell both trucks and get $2,000. Still selling both trucks, by the way. You're gonna get $2,000 for those, or ish. So I started looking for, vehicles in the $2,000 price range, and literally nothing was available that was worth anything or remotely available around me. It would have cost more to go get them than it would have to actually drive them home if they drove. And I bought the price up to $4,000 after in-laws made the decision to loan the $2,000 to us. And I say us because it's me and Justina, we're married. And so I started looking again for $4,000, and I still could not find anything that didn't have either stupid, ridiculous miles or had a description everything great, needs motor, everything great, doesn't go forward. Stupid crap like that, or has electrical issue, needs work, or like I said, just has stupidly high miles. I had to make a drop. And so pretty much I saw afterwards I saw an ad for a dealership. They were saying they want a repo / trade-in sale, a big blowout, what have you. I said, okay, well, we can go see what they're offering. And I told Justina, it's hey, I'm gonna go here, see what this is about, and try to come back with a car. I Ubered there. The Uber was $80 to get there. And yes, I could have gone to a more close dealership, but that's who was advertising. That's what the ad was, and that's where it was. And so I went there, and I showed them the flyer. I said, hey, I'm here about this flyer. I heard y'all have a bunch of stuff that y'all are needing to get off your lot, and I'm looking for a crappy economy car, and I'm willing to finance it. It's just I gotta have something to drive. And something you gotta understand about the way this whole thing went down is that the last 3 times I have bought a car, I have been the worst kind of new car customer for a consumer, which is, I need a car, I need transportation, I need it now, I need it yesterday. So it's unfortunately, I had to have a car. I live out in the middle of nowhere. I had to have a car. It's not like I can take a public transit in the rural or outskirts of town. That's not how this works. And so I went in. Anyways, we go back to the dealership. I went in, asked them what they had, and they said they had a 2016 Chevy Spark. I was like, okay, it's a crappy shit box. I know it's gonna break after the 3 years that I'm gonna own this thing and pay it off, but whatever. I'll drive it till the wheels fall off, and in the meantime, Justina can do what she needs to do to find a job, and then we can get her financed for a car after a little while. And we knew that Justina, we were trying to get Justina a job, just so that way she can have some extra income, money for herself. None of this, because I've been the sole provider for the house for quite a while. Destiny came in. She's been helping out quite a lot. It really helps, I'm not gonna lie, having her do some stuff, between what she does financially and just around the house in general. It really does help. Anywho, but she's been saying she wanted a job, and now that Liam is getting older and not needing attention every 45 minutes, that's actually a possibility. But we've been unfortunately hampered by needing 2 cars. And so an opportunity came up before both cars even decided to break. My boss told me, it's like, hey, I'm gonna be getting rid of my car. Like, I'm just gonna sell it to the junkyard. And it's a 2007, it's a beat up SUV, but it runs and drives reliably. And it has AC. So summer beater, I don't care if it gets hit with rocks and crap. That's fine by me. I'll run a beater all day long, and Justina can drive a nicer car. That was the plan. That was what we agreed on. That was the intention, is that when this car comes up, I'll buy it, I'll drive it, Justina will drive another car. That way she can start getting work experience, start getting paychecks under her belt. And then if she wants to buy something, either not car related, or she wants to buy her own car, she can. That was the original intent. That was the original agreement. That's what we both pretty much said was going to happen before any of this garbage went down. And so about 2 weeks ago, something like that, on the way up to Oklahoma to get one of her appointments, done, the Jeep just decided to yeet out half of its motor. Well, not yeet out, but it decided to stop running on half of its motor and wouldn't go faster than 15 miles an hour. And this is a point in time where I am trying to figure out a way to work more, so that way I can get more money, so that way I can actually do something about all these cars that keep on breaking before they break. And the timing just didn't line up for it. So I made a short-term loan agreement with my mother, and I told her, like, yeah, I'm gonna try to get this back to you as fast as possible. If I can get working again, get caught up, then I will pay you back. That was the original intent as well in the first place. And so gotta make a drop. Borrowed $300 to get the Jeep home, and turns out I had to borrow another $300 to get her car running because it needed a couple parts that I didn't have right on hand. And so I get her car running, I start doing deliveries with it, I get it registered. We're about to get caught up. Last day of school, I'm like, all right, cool. After today, I can work what I normally work, which is about 60, 70 hours a week, and we can really get ahead. Because Rena had gotten herself kicked off the bus. Side story. So she had gotten herself kicked off the bus for the rest of the year because she's being a little turd. And so I had to take her to and from school. So that really cut into not just my sleep time, but also my work time. And so I'm over here, I'll close Domino's. I'll go home. I'll just stay up, get her up at 5, 6 in the morning. If I don't take a little nap, unwilling. And then, take her to school, sleep in the car, because I'm dog tired by then, for about 2 or 3 hours in the parking lot somewhere up in Decatur by her school. And then I'll go home, try to nap, try to get something to eat, try to do a couple small things. My time is extremely limited at that point in time, just because at 2 o'clock, I got to get back up and go get her. Like that, it's literally about 4 hours that I have at home to either sleep or eat or try to get something taken care of. And it's not a lot of time daily, because it's one of those things where you have to finish what you're doing in that 4 hours. There's not a lot of places to halfway do projects around here. Anywho, so I'm thinking, all right, cool. This is going to be awesome. I can work full time. I don't have to wake up early in the morning. I can actually sleep for more than 2 hours at a time. I don't function well on less than 4 hours of sleep, especially all at once, and in broken up periods. And so Justina had a doctor's appointment that Wednesday, when Rena was going to be getting off school early. I think, okay, cool, whatever. I'll go pick her up whenever it's time. And she messages me saying, we're not going to go because the storms are bad. Fine, whatever. And they come in and get her little tag. That way she can get picked up at the school. I'm like, okay, cool. And said, we're going to go to her mom's house tonight. Fine, that's cool. I'll just pick you up there then. And so that day, I was told I was supposed to be working on the chicken coop in order to get the ceiling put back in, insulation, stuff like that. And I was just so tired that day that I just could not wake up and do anything. For obvious reasons, I'm just worn ragged at this point in time, because between school and work and all this other crap going on, I had a moment to myself, and it just said, no, you're sleeping right now. You're going to rest and not die. And so that was a point of contention between us, because she wanted me to take care of that before it starts getting hot. And I wanted to take care of it before it starts getting hot. Unfortunately, that wasn't an option right now. The reality of the situation was, as much as I wanted to, I couldn't. Anywho, so I get in the Subaru and I'm getting ready to go pick them up. And I get to Dallas, like the outskirts of Dallas. And we hit traffic. It's like, okay, cool, whatever. Next thing you know, the car just dies. It's like, what the heck is going on? It didn't give me any warning signs or nothing. I keep an eye on the gauges like religiously. And I try to start it. It's hard starting. So what the heck's going on? So I pull over, and I smell cooking oil. Not cooking oil, cooking oil. Like the oil debris that is left on top of the engine, because it's a dirty, grimy 90s turd, is literally cooking because it's so hot. So, oh crap, what the heck's going on? And so I grab the jugs of water that I keep in the back, and I start filling it back up, and I realize that, great, it's completely popped the head gasket. I can't really do too much. And so I try to keep water as best I can, cool it down, put water back in it, start it back up, drive however long I can before the temperature gauge spikes, pull back over, let it cool off. And I did this for 2 hours getting to Dallas. I tried to buy a bottle of Blue Devil head gasket repair, and unfortunately it's just so far gone that it wouldn't even fix it. Normally Blue Devil's pretty good. I used it on a couple other cars and it worked great, but this was not one of those times. And so I get to their house finally. It's 2 hours after I was supposed to be there. No, 3. And so, hey, I made it. Here we are. And we kind of talked a little bit, palled around, just if you want to call it that. And then Steven offered to take them back home. So that would be fantastic, because I don't know if this thing's going to make it without stopping. And sure enough, I made it to Roanoke before it died again. So I had to pull off just to double check everything, and we needed a couple of small supplies. And so sure enough, pull off the highway and it dies immediately. Same thing, just flowing coolant that's immediately vaporizing the moment it hits the block out of the radiator. Get it started back again, go get it in the parking lot, let it cool down fully, fill it back full of water. Halfway home, it does it again. So get it back, on the side of the road, get it cooled down, get it filled back up. And we were going to that point of contention because of the whole chicken coop thing. And so I was supposed to be home earlier, but I couldn't be home. And sister-in-law was wanting to hear from us. That way, we could probably talk about something. And I just never made it home until almost 1 o'clock. And she texts back saying, I'm so sick of everything being the way it is. And I am too. But there's nothing I can do about it. And, just goes off and yada, yada, yada. More drama. So I'm making it home, get the milk in the fridge. Okay, well, I at least made it home, but now I don't know what to do because it's Thursday morning. I'm supposed to have been going into work early to try to get some more hours. I can't do that anymore. So I'm looking at my options. I'm calling around, seeing who has what, seeing if I can borrow, beg, work, figure out a way to get there, what have you. What can I do to get transportation? And the closest thing was, I had a friend of mine over in Tyler. He has a wagon that used to run, but it won't start for some reason anymore, even though it did, a month ago. And I said, if he can get it started, he'll bring it to me. He's like, I appreciate it, but, it doesn't help any immediate. I need a car. As much as I would like to come and get it and have something that runs and drives for cheap, doesn't solve the current situation now. Okay, well, it is what it is. And that's when we were talking to in-laws. And they said, they could help and give $2,000. And said, if that would help, which it would, honestly, we can try to find a cash car to try to get some kind of reliable transportation. I said, cool. I started looking, like I said, I started looking because I knew I was going to get $2,000 for both the trucks at some point in time. Wanted to come pick them up, which is now Tuesday, by the way. It's Monday morning at 4:35 a.m. And so I'm thinking, if anything, I can try to find something for $4,000. And I started looking, and I couldn't find anything that did not, that met the criteria that was set out for me, which was, cheap, economical, and not a turd, but, something that was got to be mechanically sound. And I could not find that. And so, like I said, Friday morning, I saw that ad on Facebook saying that there was a liquidation sale for, repos and whatnot. And, okay, cool. And I let Justina know, say, hey, here's this deal. I'm going to go here, see what they can offer, what they have. And when I got there, like I said earlier in the video, they have that, Chevy Sonic for 18 grand, sorry. So they had, that Chevy Sonic for 18 grand is a 2016, and it had like 100,000 miles on it, and wanted 16 grand for it. But the bank would not. So that's one I was trying to go for first. the bank would not finance me for it because it was too low of a price and too high of a risk for the value, the actual value of the vehicle. So they would not finance me for that one. So they pulled up the next vehicle they had in the lot, which was the second oldest and second most expensive vehicle on the lot, which was this one. This is a 2017 Lincoln Continental. Yes, it is a luxury car. I'm not going to mention what it is. It is what they had. It is what they had for options. It was a matter of, the option was take it or don't. And so they worked some kind of numbers around, and they've actually got me approved somehow, despite my terrible credit score. And yes, it is at a 25% interest rate, which is ungodly awful. However, I need to stress again, I needed a car. We didn't have food at the house. We have bills that are due. Every day that at that house, it costs $100 just for that house to exist as is. Between electric and utilities and all that good jazz, and the price of the house itself and the land, it costs roughly $100 every single day that house is on that lot. So I need to work, which means I need a car. If they couldn't get me in one, they're going to have to get me in another one. Here we are. So back to where we were looking at this one, and I asked him, it's like, is there no way we can try to work around that Chevy Sonic, trying to get, or maybe do you have just something different laying around, something different, a different lot? I said, we can try to get you approved for this one, but really this is the options, okay? And I went to the dealership knowing how dealerships work. Don't get me wrong. And this is not what I would have chose. Quite honestly, it's a Lincoln. I'm not a Ford fan. Anybody who knows me knows I'm not a Ford fan. However, it is a vehicle that is relatively low miles. It's an 8-year-old car with 50,000 miles, which means it has been driven less than 10,000 miles a year. That is well below average nowadays. Anywho, they said, this is the option if we can get you approved. And they ran the number and said, we actually got you approved. It's like, oh shit. And so I told Jacina, it's like, they couldn't get me for the Sonic that was on the lot. And I showed her a picture of this. Like, here's what they're trying to put me in. This is the car that we can drive. I can go to work. You can go to your doctor's appointments and not have to worry about it breaking halfway there. Not to mention, it's through a dealership, so it's got, a couple little consolation things. Like, it's got a warranty on it. It's got all the records, all the service history, everything like that. It's all up to date. And it's a lot newer model, so it's a lot more relevant. And it also gets pretty decent highway mileage. I get 28 out of this thing highway. So anyways, so I sent her a picture. I say, this is what it is. This is what it's going to cost. And I told her, like, it's going to cost, and when we were talking on the phone, she kind of gave me a little bit of attitude because I know she was mad. She's already mad. This whole situation sucks. She's not happy about it. I'm not happy about it. But it's what I got to do in order to make sure that we can continue to exist as we are. Instead of flowering money away and then being completely screwed altogether. And then being homeless, and then you really got some issues. But I told, she kind of gave me a little bit of attitude, says, well, then I'm driving it, right? So yeah, that was the plan anyways. She was going to drive the nicer car to and from work. I'll drive the beat up pile of crap because I know how to keep running as best I can until, they fail mechanically, obviously. And so she said, and I said, this is what the option is. And she said, okay. I said, all right. And I took that as a affirmative, said, we're doing this. And I went ahead and signed the paperwork. Said, all right, let's go and get this rolling. And they came back, said you have to get it, because of the interest rate that you got approved for, the only way that you can get approved was that 25% interest rate. Your payment's going to be around $700 a month. I said, golly. But bear in mind, I'm also going to be working more because Rena's out of school. Do the quick math on it. Even at $10 an hour, 1 hour extra a day, every day you work for 6 days a week, for the 4 weeks, that's an extra $260, or about $250, however. That's almost half the payment already. And that's not including, I'm already on overtime by the time I get to that extra hour. On top of, I would also get tips while I'm working that extra hour. Now I'm doubling it. I'm adding 2 hours to that minimum. I can afford this car. So I said, you know what? It's expensive, yes. However, I need a car. And it's going to be hard, but I can do it. And so I said, all right. The wife already said, she's going to be driving it whenever we get that second beater. I said, okay, let's do this. And I said, finalize paperwork. Let's get the down payment going. The moment that it got spread around that this is a luxury car, all the shit fell off the rails. I was getting blown up. I was getting spammed. I was getting all sorts of shit saying, no, don't do it. No, don't do it. And it's like, A, I've already signed the paperwork. But B, I cannot afford to not go to work. I cannot afford, because as I said, that house that we live in costs $100 a day. It took $100, or $80 rather, just to get to the dealership. It's going to take another $80 to get back if I don't pick up something today. And there wasn't a lot of dealerships around that place that were within walking distance. Maybe I could have gone somewhere else. There were other people trying to look at other cars. This one was on the block. They had just sold, because when I walked in, they said, oh, we had this Escape that we might be able to get you approved for. And it was actually more than this thing. And like 2 years newer. But a Ford Escape was newer and more expensive than this thing. And we might be able to get you that. But, we'll see what happens. And then we looked out the window. It's like, oh, they're selling it right now. Well, what are our options? And we went through the Sonic, and then, we won't do that. Found this thing, said, all right, well, this is something we can do. So, all right, let's do it. Got all the approvals from the wife, said, okay, let's do it. As much as people want to say that I didn't communicate that this is what's happening, I communicated this is what's happening. So people got mad because this is not a economy car. And I agree, it's not an economy car. It's not one I wanted to get. And people have, one person lied saying that this is what I wanted. No, it's not what I fucking wanted. I wanted an economy car, that way I could not feel too bad about driving it into the ground. However, this one, at the very least, I can afford, and it works. Checks all the boxes that I need. I can afford it, and it works. It works reliably. Just because it's nice doesn't mean it's not what I need. This thing being nice is a secondary to the main issue at hand, which was I needed a car. More than anything, I needed a car. And I needed it yesterday. Yesterday being the Thursday. And so I'm making this video just to make sure that I can get my piece out, because all the people that are mad at me have not heard me talk about this. since I bought it. I said what was going on, especially to my wife. I said, here's what's going on. And I knew when we're talking about down payment at the dealership, so I have $2,000 I can put down. Is there any more you can put down? No. Not just because it's what was the account, but because I knew that I could reimburse it as soon as possible once the truck's sold, which is going to be, like I said, Tuesday. So Wednesday morning, once those 2 checks cleared, I'm reimbursing the down payment for this thing. Because there was a giant hubbub about that. And I'm sorry that it came off and the optics are bad about it. However, I did what I had to do to make sure that my son had formula the next day. I did what I had to do to make sure that I could go to work and provide for my family instead of sitting here wasting time and wasting more money, because that $2,000 would have been $1,000 by Wednesday if I decided not to do anything. Because guarantee I wouldn't be able to go to work for the next couple days just from looking for a car that fits the bill that everybody else wants. I needed a car that day. I'm a terrible car buyer customer because I usually need a car right then and there. And it sucks being in that position, but that's what it is. So here we are. That is what it is. That's my piece. That's what I'm saying. I can afford this thing if I can go to work. If I am allowed to go to work, like I should, because I'm the sole provider for this household, I need to be able to go to work. It is not a joke anymore. I would constantly say, hey, I gotta go to work, and then get bombarded with, hey, before you leave, do this. Before you leave, you have to do this. Before you leave, you gotta take care of this. And I'd be an hour late every day. That hour adds up to that $200, $300 every month. That's most of a car payment. I've tried explaining this over and over and over again. I'm done explaining. I have to go to work in order to afford to live in the house we are in. Period, blank, end of story. I have to go to work. Anything that's at the house that I don't do during the day will have to wait till tomorrow. Because it's easier to live in a house that you need to work on than get kicked out of the one that you're constantly at anyways. Because you're not working. Because you're not paying for the house and everything that needs to go into it. And I'm sorry that if someone's mental state is not good or they're stressed out and they're doing whatever, imagine how stressed it's going to be when you're homeless. I have to go to work. I need a car to do that. I don't know how to emphasize it more. This is what they got me. Very blank, end of story. I'm paying back the down payment on Wednesday. I have it, save for the 2 trucks being sold. And once those checks clear, because I know they're coming, they are coming, they're scheduled. Pick and Pull scheduled it. It's a big corporation. They're coming. And people who know me know it wasn't an easy thing to do to sell both those trucks. I wanted to keep those trucks. I fought tooth and nail to keep both those trucks for years. Trying to find some time to get to it. Trying to find some way to afford the parts that I need or the services that I need to fix them and actually drive them and use them as trucks, because a truck is a useful thing at my house. But right now, we are at the bare necessities level of scrimping. because so much crap has gone down and I have not been able to go to work enough to make enough money so that we can keep up what we have. So this is me basically putting my foot down. And you can hate me for it if you want to. But I'm doing what I'm supposed to as a man, as the head of household, as the sole provider of most of the stuff in the household. I have to do this. Not because I want to. And just because I like what comes to me doesn't mean I don't deserve to have anything. I'm not saying I deserve this car. I would have preferred to have something a little bit cheaper, but they wouldn't give it to me. And yes, it's going to be a struggle to afford it. I'm not going to lie about it. I'm not scrimping or pinching, what the fuck ever you want to call it. I'm not trying to mince words. But I can't afford this thing. I can't afford to live. Because that's what it's about right now. I needed a car in order to work so that I can live. So that way my house doesn't get repossessed. So way the land that we're on doesn't get repossessed and foreclosed on. That way we can afford all the things that we need inside the house. Had I not gone to work on Friday with this thing, Saturday morning, we wouldn't have groceries. We wouldn't have formula. We wouldn't have a car. Had I not gotten this thing. And then what? DoorDash everything? Great. There's that $2,000 gone. When we moved houses, we spent $980 on DoorDash and Uber Eats because we didn't have a stove or kitchen or anything like that. And that wasn't even but 3-4 days because everything was unplugged and out of the house. Between 3 and 4 days, we spent over $900 on Uber Eats to make sure everybody was fed. So that $2,000 that would have been for a down payment for a car, had I not gotten one, would be gone before I sold either of the trucks. Then I had $2,000 from the trucks, and I'd still be in the same position. Only I wouldn't have any kind of extra money that I could lean on, saying, hey, maybe we'll have $4,000. Just because you're not working or just because you're in a house doesn't mean things don't stop costing money. I did what I had to do in order to make sure that we could continue to exist. Lots of people are mad at me for it, and they're using whatever they can to justify the vitriol towards me. And you know what? That's fine. Hate me all you want. I no longer care about your feelings. I care about my responsibilities. And that is to my kids, to my wife, to make sure that she has a home, to Destiny, because she lives here too, and I'm doing my best to make sure that all the animals and whatnot are taken care of too. I still don't have a lot of time. I'm only one person. I can't do everything. I've never admitted to being able to do everything. I am trying my best. That's all I can do. And you know what? If that's not good enough for someone anymore, I'm not worried about hurting them anymore. If you are hurt by my best, I am sorry. But that's not on me anymore. Quite honestly, I'm doing the best that I can to take care of my responsibilities. And sometimes people's feelings are going to get hurt over that. And you can, like I said, you can hate me for it all you want to, but you damn well better respect it. That I'm doing what I have to in order to make this work. A lot of people are mad at me just because it's, not fair, the optics is bad, or they think that I took advantage of whatever. The moment I saw that I'm gonna have to finance cars, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use this $2,000 as a down payment on whatever the hell I can get, and I'll reimburse it the moment the trucks are gone, because I was committed to selling the trucks before the $2,000 came in. And I said, you know what, if the $2,000 had not come in, I would have sold the trucks and bought something anyways, because that was the option. So I did what I had to do. So again, you can hate me for it, but I'm no longer concerned about doing my best and still not having people like me for it. And I'm sorry if your feelings are hurt. I really am. And anybody that's ever helped me before, as always, I've been eternally grateful for any help that I've ever gotten. I've never badmouthed or backhanded anybody that's ever helped me. And I've always done my best to remain humble whenever I get it. And if I can ever pay it back, I do. Right now, because I'm working more hours, I can. But I have to work, which means I have to have a car. Anyways, rant over. I'm about to exit the freeway. I'll see you all in a little bit.